Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs keep screwing the pooch, and they go down in this series 2-0 to the Florida Panthers after a 3-2 defeat in Toronto when they are heading over to Miami, Florida, South Florida, where the heat is nice and the beaches are warm and Florida is hot and ready to take this series and go in the sweep, which looks like, I think, what they're going to do. Because this game just goes to show you how Toronto is out of their league when it comes to the second round. They are ill-prepared for the playoffs, and they ran into a stumbling and faltering Tampa Bay Lightning in round one. Had a decent to fun watch series to watch between those two teams. But it just goes to show you that Tampa, they went into the series faltering. They looked pretty bad at the end of the season, and they went into that series. And compared to Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs look good. But I feel like we put out of our mind in that series, since it's so tight that it was closer than it really was. But in all actuality, Tampa was still falling, and Toronto has no reason to be in the second round against the Florida Panthers. And as I said, I think Florida, they're going to beat them. And it just goes to show you here, because Toronto, they're not playoffs ready. They're not playoffs prepared, this team. I think bringing on guys like Ryan O'Reilly, Jake McCabe, Luke Schenn, these are perfect additions. But the main core guys, I know they're getting points, but the issue is that they're not playoff performers in Marner and Matthews, right? Those two main guys, not Nylander, not really Tavares, Marner and Matthews, they just are not playoff performers. I know they're getting points, but in that first round, in this series, they just aren't looking, they're just not in charge guys. Kind of weak with Florida last year, with Huberdeau and Barkov being their main guys. They just aren't playoff players. They're not playoff performers. Guys like Verhage, guys like Tkachuk are playoff performers. They have the fight. They have the need, the drive to win. They get those goals, and they put in the back of the net. Guys like Sam Bennett who grind for their goals, right? Those are what you need in the playoffs, not guys like Mitch Marner and Matthews. But let's talk about this game specifically. So Toronto, they started out right, started off hot, and they did what I said they needed to do. They needed guys to step up, and they needed to fight for those goals, right? And they did that, starting hot tonight, doing that, right? Starting off with the Kerfoot goal. Those are the type of goals that they were missing in game one. Those nitty-gritty goals, those goals that you fight for, the crashing the net, finding the puck and scoring, right? Like the Sam Bennett goal in game one as well, right? Where they need that guy that crash the crease, get in there, find the puck, be physical, strong on your stick, and find the puck in the back of the net. Kerfoot, they started off strong. He's the type of player that I think needs to show up for the Maple Leafs to also win the Cup. He did kind of good in the first round, but in this game, these are the type of players that you need stepping up, having some stride in their step, some oomph to their step, really, to push them over that line, and that strong-headed, that energizing, that Yanni Gourde is the perfect example for it. That type of player to really step in there and be like, screw everything. If I get hit in the face with a stick, if I get knocked to my face and lose teeth, that's the type of players that they need, is Alex Kerfoot going in there, finding the puck and burying in the back of the net. That first goal is exactly what Toronto's looking for. When they find those type of players throughout the game, they come up with the win. Issue is that they start to falter. But before that happens, Mitch Marner's power play goal, the Maple Leafs power play, in my opinion, has looked the best out of the entire playoffs. I don't think there's another team who's really has looked as good in consistency. Sure, like the Dallas Stars, they generate goals, they look good on the power play, but the Maple Leafs, they really do use their skill and their determination. They really are good at grinding away in the offensive zone when they have a power play. So if the Maple Leafs can cling to anything from these two games so far, the playoffs as a whole, is that their power play is absolutely lethal, and that if they can use that more to their advantage in these types of games, where in game one they have 5 power plays, and this one I don't remember how many they had, but they score at least one goal, well, the only one goal from their power plays tonight, right? So if they can use that a little bit more consistently and produce on those opportunities that they're creating, that would be huge for the Maple Leafs. But just saying, the Maple Leafs power play with Mitch Marner, them shooting the puck, getting the block shot, and then just recycling it and keeping the puck in the zone, not letting it get out by the Panthers, and keeping the offensive pressure going. They're so good at that, and they finally score on a one-timer from Ryan O'Reilly, Mitch Marner. one-timer from O'Reilly, puts it in the back of the net, looking good, getting off the game strong, fast, and tenacious. They're looking solid, but then Toronto spoils it. Toronto spoils it, and Florida does what they do best, which is come back and not let adversity keep them down. They started strong, and what did I say? The guys, they stood up for themselves, right? They with the skill or determination, but then they what happens is that it feels, you know what, kind of like this whole playoffs as a whole for them so far, is they start off strong. Let's say in round one, they start off strong. They get the win in like period one. They're looking very good in the beginning of the period, kind of like they do at the beginning of the playoffs, and then they start to falter a little bit, and then the other team takes over, right? And that's what happened in this period and beginning of the second, is they started really strong, and it felt like they were like, okay, we did the hard work, we did it, guys, let's go! And then towards the end of the period, they were like, oh, and we have to keep fighting? Because then towards the end, the 2-0 lead with, I forget how much was left, but Anton Lundell with the great goal goes in, and he scores his first goal for the... Okay, never mind. I was getting things confused. So Lundell from Reinhardt behind the net. Reinhardt gets it, sends it. Amazing, genius backhand pass without even seeing... Samsonov's probably looking this way, getting ready, but then it comes up. It's hard for him, even if he knew where the puck was coming from, for him to be able to get over there in time to make that glove save for him and make that a save. So that's a tough one for him to keep from in the back of the net. And right before that goal goes in, the commentator said that the Leafs have not held a lead in the first 20 minutes in any of the games so far in the playoffs. And I was like, whoa. So technically speaking, so they scored their first goal. Kerfoot, I think it was like 2 minutes and something in to the period, right? So the Florida Panthers scored within the first 19 seconds of the second period, which means that still holds true, that they do not do it, as the Panthers come out very heated right off the bat. Amazing turnover in the neutral zone leads to a pass from, I forget who, to Barkov, and Barkov rips it glove side, far side, against Samsonov and beats him for it, just the same way that Marchand kept doing to Alex the Lion in round one. So that was a good goal for Barkov. I gotta say that, I mean, that's a tough shot. I mean, you see a lot of goalies give those ones up, but those are the type of ones where it's like, man, like, we couldn't have done something different from there, because he's like at the dots when he shoots that puck, and it's like, could you have done anything? The defenseman needs to collapse on him, but there's really no one, like, he was kind of far away, but yeah, so details there stop that one. But then not that much later from that goal, I think less than a minute later, Matthew Tkachuk sends the puck past all the Maple Leafs defense, lying right through everyone, across the ice to Gustav Forsling, and he rips that one in the back of the net past Samsonov, and they get the lead 3-2. And since then, the Florida Panthers just held them down. Bobrovsky shut things down. The Panthers themselves shut things down. Game was tight. Game was close. The Maple Leafs got a good few chances, but things were shut down, and the Florida Panthers once again not steal the win. Well, I guess they kind of did from the Maple Leafs, and the Leafs are down 2-0. And like I said, the issue with this team is that for them, but also I gotta say, like the Panthers last year, I said the same thing about them last year. I don't know if I made a video about it then. I don't know if I even was making videos at that point, but the Panthers back a year ago, also with like the Flames, I always said, is that some teams, they might be good in the regular season, but they're not built for the playoffs, right? And that's kind of what I think with the President's Trophy curse, is that some teams are built for the 82-game seasons to produce a lot of goals. But once they get into the playoffs, some guys like Marner, like Matthews, yes, they're getting points. I think they're both at like 10 or 11 or something like that, right? Yes, they are producing points, but you take a look at their goals. Matthews, he scored, 2 goals at like a certain amount of time in one of the games against Tampa Bay. Like, some of these points are like, yeah, but take a look at the circumstances going on at the time. And also look at the team that they're playing. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they looked like They just weren't in it. And I got to say, I think the Maple Leafs, they stole that series from Tampa Bay. Take a look at the stat. They haven't held a lead for 20 minutes. The Maple Leafs, when they won those games against Tampa Bay, they were stealing the wins because Tampa couldn't seal the deal, kind of like the Maple Leafs here. The Leafs, they could not capitalize for their life against the Tampa Bay Lightning in that series. They got lucky because Tampa was even worse at capitalizing. They just couldn't score a goal even though they had more chances to score. And Toronto, they just got the goals that they needed to get, and they got through the series. This series here, you can tell, they're guys, they're not stepping up. Guys like Calle Jarnkrok, right? Jarnkrok, or whatever you want to call him, right? Like those type of players are not stepping up. They're not doing anything. Guys like Kerfoot, he steps up for 1 second. He gets a goal. Great job, but keep doing it. He had a nice rush up the ice I saw once, but he didn't really get anywhere with it. Guys like Matthews, where are they to get these goals? Guys like Marner, he did get an assist tonight, but he did look good. I don't want to say Marner was as bad as he was in game 1, but these guys aren't stepping up. They're not getting the puck, and they're not going into the net, crashing it, hard hand on the stick, trying to jam it in, causing the havoc, right? And when they do cause the havoc, they're not there to, I don't want to say capitalize on it, but there's no one to be like, screw it, I'm going to be the man, and I'm going to put it in the back of the net. That never happens. They never are like, I'm going to do this. They just never go for gold. They're always just like, gotta sit back and I'm gonna see what happens, right? And they're it feels like they all want someone else to be the man to do the job, right? And not all of them and not all the time, right? Of course they have their opportunities to score, they step up, they get a good shot in, right? But if they could just figure out how to have one of these guys on their team be like a Matthew Tkachuk or a Sam Bennett or a Carter Verhaeghe, where they're going to be like, I'm going to be the man, and I'm going to score this goal no matter what happens, right? They don't have one of those guys where Sam Bennett's going to be there to crash the net. He's going to hard shoulder, grab the puck, shove it in, right? They don't have a guy where a Matthew Tkachuk who's going to go in there and cause the havoc and make everyone go wild, get all the attention, and make that big pass, right? Those guys, they have Marner and Matthews who can make the very skilled play, get the pass, get the one shot that they need and score, right? But they don't have a Tkachuk who's going to be like, we need this one goal, I'm going to just stand in front of or a Hornquist. I think a perfect player for this team would be a Patrick Hornquist type player, where they always brought it up last season, where he stands in front of the net and he gets those goals. They need a guy like Braden Point, a Patrick Hornquist, a Connor Garland, right? These type of players still exist in the league. Like, have these type of guys who not stand in front of the net, but they will grind for that goal. They will go for the dirty opportunity to score, do the dirty job, be like Mike Rowe, right? They don't have that type of player on this team. They're missing it, and that's what's wrong. Ryan O'Reilly's kind of that guy, but he's not like... He's very clutch for the Maple Leafs, but he's not like... O'Reilly's a very good pickup. I really like him on the Maple Leafs. I think they should really try to keep him on the team if they have. I'm pretty sure they haven't already. But if they can, resign him to an extension, because I think he's a perfect fit on the squad. I think he's a perfect addition to what this team needs. Exactly like how Matthew Tkachuk is what a team like the Panthers needed. And I really do think that. And it's showing right here why it is. Because he's the type of guy they need. And I don't know how the Maple Leafs haven't done this yet. Because the Florida Panthers one year win the President's Trophy with their superstar players but fail in the playoffs. And you know what they go? Bill Zito goes, you know what? I know what we're missing. We have some really talented guys, top 10 players, top 5 players in the league. But you know what? That's not what we need. We don't need a guy who can pass the puck in 82 games and get like 80 assists or something. No, that's not what we need. We need a guy who's going to get his tooth knocked out, who's at the same time going to go in there, hit somebody, and then go score a goal, right? That's what we need. The Maple Leafs don't have that. That's not Mitch Marner. That's not Austin Matthews. That's not who they have on this team. Ryan O'Reilly's good, but he's not that skilled enough of a player to generate all those. Well, he is, but you get what he's not Matthew Tkachuk, and that's what the Maple Leafs need. This and after 4 years or however long that this core has been on this team of Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Riley, these guys on this team, I don't know how they haven't been. I don't know how Kyle Dubas hasn't been fired yet. Because how has he not seen this team and gone, you know what? I know what we need. We need a guy like Matthew Tkachuk, right? Why have they not done that yet? Why have they not gone out there? What if they could get Brady? I mean, it's going to be, I don't think they probably could get him from the Senators, but like a player like that, where is that player. They don't have him. They don't have a guy like Connor Garland, right? They don't have those type of guys who just do the dirty job and get those grindy goals. Like guys like Patrick Hornquist, guys like Corey Perry, guys like Belmar and Maroon. That's bottom line that they had to play against, right? They don't have those type of guys that are finding those sneaky goals, right? That's what they're missing. And that is what they're going to need if they ever want to win the Stanley Cup. Because this team right now, this current iteration, there's nothing wrong with the core, but they need to add something to it. O'Reilly's a good start, but they need to go full force. They need one of those type of guys. But until then, they're going to keep losing this series. They're down 2-0. They're heading to Florida, and they are absolutely screwed, and the Maple Leafs are out of here. So get your polishing ready for those golf clubs because you're heading for the courses. They're ready for you, and they're getting ready for you next week. And they'll be seeing you there. So thank you for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription. If you didn't, that means you're a Maple Leafs fan, and you're dumb. And thank you for watching this. Until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. And by dumb, I don't mean you're dumb for liking the Leafs. You're dumb for thinking they have a chance of winning the Stanley Cup. If you like them, that's fine. But thinking they have a chance to win, that's completely different. So thank you. Bye-bye. Ta-ta for now.